Self-confidence. Let's go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the White Filth channel. As you can see, we are having our first talk in the new configuration that is White Filth 2.0, if you will. Who better to start with than one of the Renaissance men of modern raw black metal, Boul God, aka Alex. Welcome and thanks, I guess.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
We were commenting before about how much of an upgrade in quality this whole operation has seen since our last conversation. We've actually had three recorded conversations now. One was of my initiation back at the radio station. That was probably the highest quality, actually, because I had access to a really good microphone. But
which
now,
is weird because on my end, it was always a crappy version.
That's true. That's true.
What's the second one? This is the third one, you mean?
This is the third one. Yeah. Now is the third one. Second one was
our video,
our first talk on your channel. Yeah. And then now it's number 3.
I was looking for the interview on Hellhole. Is it still up?
There's a recording of it in the archives.
Okay, but they
you
don't.
Can put it on. You can put it on YouTube if you want.
Yeah, maybe we'll look into it.
Yeah, I can send it to you.
Yeah, or maybe just for Spotify or something like it. I don't even know what we talked about. I think mainly me, which is why I didn't seek it out, I guess, because I'm not that interested.
Oh, we talked about the labels and stuff. It was like back when Sparkblood was like still kicking off, I suppose, in the earlier days. So I think we talked mainly about that and the channel and music generally.
Yeah, I think both labels were at their peak at that point. Yeah, they all went under a bit. Let's see, what did I write down? Yes. Yeah, my initial question, since we are at this point, how did we meet actually? Because I couldn't recall. It's been,
I think
last video was a year ago, and I think the talk before that was maybe another year ago. So we're looking at 2, maybe 3 years.
I think I just watched your videos or something and was commenting on them. And then maybe I made an Instagram account or something and we started talking more through there. Yeah. But I think it started off with me. It was a voyeuristic relationship, I think, originally.
Okay. Yeah, I know we started on Messenger way before Instagram.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know how. I don't really remember the sequence.
Maybe that's a good thing. Okay, last time in the video, because I rewatched, I actually noticed that I was kind of rushing it and we didn't really talk about the label or any of the acts you are involved with. Mainly because the tape releases I just got in and I hadn't had the time to listen to. But I was also under the impression that you wanted to keep certain projects maybe more secretive, or you didn't want to admit involvement. But since we talked it through and you're like, all is fair game, we can...
yeah. I mean, the way I feel about that stuff was like, when I first was starting out, I didn't really have any sort of presence online besides through my label. And I didn't really want to confuse the label stuff with the music I was making, because they didn't always feel connected or complimentary necessarily. But it was not like some cool guy secret band type of thing. It was more just like, I didn't see the point in making it all one thing. I'm not like a marketing person, so I didn't have some fucking personal brand bullshit I was trying to sell. So I was like, yeah, fuck it, let's just keep them separate and then people will figure it out eventually. And now I've gotten to the point where I've done so many like zines and stuff where it'll be like, oh, you're in this band, but you're also in this band. Can you talk about both of them? And then, eventually now it's like anyone could draw any lines they want to draw. So
I think the connector between your label stuff and the music you were making was actually a YouTube channel, because that was another chapter or another entity within that world that just connected.
Yes.
Because Boul God, the label in essence has nothing to do with black metal or raw black metal per se, while your musical ventures are not all, but mainly on that side of the spectrum. So I think the link was maybe the YouTube and, like you said, zine interviews.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's a good point.
So let's dive into the label. I picked 2 older releases, and then we'll talk about 2 new releases that are just come out. I say older, but this tape is also kind of new. So let's talk the real old one.
Okay.
This is Bizarre Carnival with, I
Oh
have to
yeah.
see. No, it's Be Quiet, Satan is Talking with Bizarre Carnival. This one. Um, this was in the last video you sent me in the last batch. And you said at that time it was DJ Paul mixed with some Grausamkeit.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, at that time, I just nodded along because I was focusing on my on my notes and on my cell phone and all. But thinking back to it, I was like, Grausamkeit, how the fuck is this linked to Grausamkeit? Because I had one, I think I had the Offerblood LP. And at that time, a year ago, I had no idea what basically what that world was. What I had no Heroin Makes Happy, all the little niches that he did. So
Yeah.
kind of dawned on me that, oh yeah, that's what he was talking about.
Yeah, I could have been more specific. It's definitely more Heroin Makes Happy mixed
Yeah,
with
100%.
36 Mafia.
I'll show the J card.
Man, I love that tape.
Yeah.
I wish I fucking made more of those tapes.
It's limited to a bizarre amount, like 15 or something.
Yeah, I think it's like 15 or something.
Yeah, 15 copies.
Yeah.
It is all handmade. That's why there are only 15.
Yeah, they're a pain in the ass to put together. But
yeah. But yeah, it has this bizarre. It is. If you look at it now, how old is this? I'd say a year, maybe a little older.
The music itself is probably pushing 2 years old. The release is maybe about a year and a half, maybe a little more. Because probably a year and a half, 2 years.
Year and a half. If you are
pre-COVID, for sure.
Yeah, it feels not. It feels like it, but I link it to that period of time. If I look back at it now, it just fits in perfectly with stuff like Siegfried and Karlfried and all the adapts that came out of Heroin Makes Happy. So yeah, I would say if you can get your hands on it, but yeah, like 15. But this is on the Bandcamp for sure.
It is, yeah. People have asked me to repress it, and I think I will, or I'll have someone else repress it or something. I'm just waiting for like the right opportunity to, but it's not my. I mean, we can talk more about the music.
Yeah, sure.
I'll let you lead the way.
No, please feel free because
I was just gonna say it's not mine. That's not my band. So that's not my music. No. I played a role in executive producing it and helped mix and did all the mastering and did the art and stuff, but it's not the music, the compositions aren't mine. I'm not performing on it. No. So anything I do with the release needs the approval of the guy who's actually behind it.
Mm-hmm. This is a New York project, right?
Yeah, New York.
Because I mentioned, we'll talk about it later. Last time we mentioned that you made the move from New York to Philly, but the label Boul God is still very much a New York label because the band still has New York.
Yeah, every single thing that's come out on it is a New York project, based there. In the sense that if it's my band, I only work on it when I'm in New York, or it's run and by someone who is from the city or upstate. So the label itself is still sort of built around my time there, and even if I'm not currently living there all the time.
Kind of a nostalgic without the nostalgia or something like that. Is so if you're rehearsing or playing with Diet, you go to New York?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't rehearsed in I don't know.
Yeah.
Since before the full length came out, probably.
Oh, okay.
Or so it's been a while since that, but it's those guys, it's the same crew of people, and then just other friends that I have that aren't involved in various Boul God releases. Yeah. Are all either in the city or further upstate.
Oh, okay. Is Philly up or down?
Down.
Okay. Yeah, I think re-releasing it would be a good idea because it's stupid to say that it was ahead of its time since it's only a year old, but I think the entire Kellerson scene and all those specific little niches have only been exploding in the last year, maybe half a year. So it would fit right in. It's not 100% the same sound. It is not that overly joyous, maybe synth music, but it leans into that territory very heavy.
So I can talk a bit more about the sound if you want. When it was the tracks were initially presented to me, it was maybe a more straight ahead industrial style thing.
Okay.
And I sort of suggested, I was like, because it was very early on. It was like I'm trying to remember. Like, I guess it was like right when that Friedhof like compilation came out on
Okay.
LP. Um, Early sort of BSOD revival era.
Mm-hmm.
And I suggested, I was like, you should, because me and my friend who's behind the project, he liked all that shit. And like, we were listening to all the same stuff. And I was like, why don't you just try like add some of that to it basically? And he was like, oh, it's a good idea. So that was sort of, it ended up taking that direction, even though that wasn't necessarily how it started. I just thought that would be a complementary thing.
Yeah, it
And
lends
also,
itself.
yeah, his art style is very similar. He's like a visual artist too. And his art style is so fucking bizarre and like druggy in a lot of ways. And I knew he had that sort of element in him, and I wasn't sure why he didn't think to combine them all into one thing. So I suggested it, and that's sort of how it ended up being that way.
Is he in another? Is he in another band related to the like FX or something like it?
He was in Died.
Oh,
Yeah, and he hasn't been working on music lately. He has like a very serious job, but he's still draws and does photography and stuff, and I'm sure he'll have some return to music. It's just
okay.
hasn't happened yet.
Does he have a presence, his art, on any social platform or?
No, actually not for his art. He just has like his like personal
Oh,
accounts
okay.
and stuff. I don't know why he doesn't share it really.
Okay. Thomas is doing some stuff.
Carry on.
Carry on. Okay. So yeah, once again, I looked like a deer or a deer in headlights when you talked about it the last time, just because it was went over my head completely. Also because I didn't hear the tape.
Right.
Second one is, and this was in the last batch together with the glorious records that will be coming up, is the Flying Mausoleum with El Hombre Evaporado.
That's right.
It's this one, and this is actually a new tape, right? This is
Yeah.
21.
2021.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was recorded in, I guess, late April, early May of 2021.
Okay, this looks like a three-part band or something like it, like solo project with help recording.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Okay. There you go. The J cards, limited to a mind-blowing 20 copies. There you go. I've written down some things.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
It starts off as a Zorro soundtrack on Mescaline.
Yeah. That's right.
But then it has these short bursts of like Zappa-ish music, but when with the young ones on vocals. It reminded me of the Desert Sessions in a way, because of the it doesn't feel improvised, but it seems improvised. If you
Oh, it is. No, it's structured improvisation, most of it.
there you go. That's how to put it in words. And then it reminded me of every New York band in the '88 Boa Drums intro.
Yeah,
was-
that's
that was
accurate
crazy,
too.
yeah. But yeah, it's a great little tape. But it says here, wherein the
Thank you.
flying mausoleum is introduced formally to the world, and certain hallucinations materialize and are spit and stomped upon by the artist. It seems that a lot of, because you write all the notes or the explanations of or the music, you write those, right?
Yeah.
And it seems there is this inherent self-deprecation in all of it.
Yeah. There's a sense of humor in everything, and
Yeah.
it's a shame when people don't see it, but yeah, there is.
It will be linked to Blinding Sun in a later stage in this video, but I really enjoyed this tape because it's once again something very different than all the stuff people know you or don't know you for. But yeah, it has this unbelievably free, just the joy of making music actually that comes.
Yeah,
from.
that was a really really fun and sort of automatic tape, in the sense that very little thought. I mean, a lot of energy mentally and creatively was put into it, but very little sort of rational, like planning. It was more so just a burst of creativity that about half of the stuff is just me entirely by myself recording.
Okay.
Using like a field recorder and just like layering the instruments.
You fooled
And
me
then-
again because I thought it was you who was helping another guy.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's my band for sure. So that most of it is, or not most of it, excuse me, half of it is me. And then the other half is the two friends of mine, one of which is my oldest friend of all time. I have known him since we were since we were 6 years old or something. And we learned how to play music together. So he's like my most natural sort of musical companion.
Okay.
And then his close friend who is sort of, that's a,
But that's not you, right?
No, that is me. Yeah.
Damn, man.
I just like edited it and whatnot. But basically, yeah, it's very two musicians I'm very that I play with constantly, because we're in a Grateful Dead cover band together that was touring for a while, and two very close friends. So essentially, I would just the way that the creation for that band works is I approach them and I just say, "Here's what we're gonna do," and then I trust them to just take what I mean and understand it, and then we improvise based on that. So there's a new thing that we just finished, or that we recorded in like January, but I just like mixed and burned to CDs and stuff. That is gonna come out later. We can talk more about that if we want to talk about the future of the label later, but it's all, the whole thing is just the full band 3-piece improv stuff. So it's more of that.
Yeah, once again, it was something completely different and unexpected, which is always, a plus, I guess. But I had no idea it was also you. Is this also New York based then, the two other guys, or is this also New York? So everything Boul God is New York.
Yeah, everything. I mean, not on purpose, but that's just been the way it's been.
Yeah, it's actually cool. Still love that sticker from the University of New York.
Oh yeah,
Cool that is the link.
Yeah.
Cool that is the link that keeps you guys together.
Yeah.
And then there are two newer releases that I scratched the surface on digitally. I listened to them, but one is Thomas Tyler with My Life as My Own Dead. It says for fans of Dust, Dead, Life, and Breath in the thing. But I mostly listen to these things at work, and this was not work material.
No, that's like death music. Like it's not for it's very taxing. Listen,
I called Iljarn anti-music not that long ago, but this is definitely
true anti-music. Yeah,
true anti-music. Yeah, it's like grinding tools that that just trash your ears, I guess.
yeah, it's intense. I mean, that whole thing as a release has more nuance, I think, and dynamics to it. Like the main track that plays if you just go on the Bandcamp and click play or whatever is not that intense, but any other song on there is like fucking obliterating noise. I really like his music. He's a buddy from the UK who runs a label called Base Materialism, and puts out a lot of noise and like free improv and like music concrete stuff. So this was our first time like working on anything together, and I'm very happy with how it came out.
It looks incredible. I mean, the case is like a oversized I don't know how to call it, maybe a DVD case that
Try to see if I have one handy.
Yeah,
it's in a box somewhere.
It's in a box. It's a blue. You can look it up. Yeah. Maybe we can edit something, or maybe I don't think he's up for it. But it's a blue oversized jewel case or a clamshell box, if you will. With just a brute art painting going all over it. So it looks the part, but it's actually. I said it looks the part, but it actually doesn't look the part. It gives it a twist that you don't expect that kind of harsh music to be behind that nice blue box. But
it makes it look a bit more playful than I think the music can be. But there still is an element of self-awareness, I think, in his expression that he never sort of shakes. It's like it kind of has this like it's kind of haunted by irony in a sense. It's not like I don't think it's intentional even. I think it just has a sort of sheen of I don't know, self-awareness, for lack of a better word, that you can't really do anything with. And I think that's reflected maybe in the artwork more. This sort of like the box, like the blue color is so gauche. It's like a sort of, it looks like a
it lulls you in some
way. It lulls you in. It looks like a Game Boy game or something. Like it's not threatening at all.
No, that's right. It looks like a Game Boy or a PlayStation box.
Yeah.
What are we drinking, Tom?
I don't know. What are we drinking? We are drinking La Trappe Triple. There you
Looks
go.
good.
Yeah. It's okay. It's from Holland, so I can't say it's.
Yeah. I don't like that kind of beer.
What kind
Those
of
like triples. I'm not a big triple
no.
guy. I mean, they're good. I'll appreciate trust me, if I was in Europe and I could have like real ones, that's a different story. But it's the kind of thing that fucking brewers in the US try making, and it's just like they'll fucking theme it after some like a Dune book or something, and it's just like
It's not necessary.
Not good. Yeah, it's completely unnecessary.
The triple should be made by a monk and by
yeah, literally just an actual monk, not a fake one.
by a Trappist, actually.
Yeah.
Let's see. The second one was Sick TSK, I think.
Sick Tisk, I think.
Sick Tisk, okay. They've seen our world right. And the quote is chanted to God from the pits of spiritual abuse. I haven't checked this one out. That was the last addition to the roster. Can you tell or can you shine any light?
Yeah, so this one is actually pretty different than the other stuff I've done on Boul God. I guess the Thomas Tyler thing was probably the first thing I did where like I really didn't have any input in the music.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything before that, I think in one way or another, I had a say in either the composition or the mixing or the mastering or something. Like I had my hands in it, even if I wasn't the composer or the performer.
Yeah.
But the Thomas Tyler thing sort of burst that wall for the first time, and I just sort of put out something that someone else made that I happen to really like, which is like the typical label thing. And I want to continue exploring doing that. So the Sick Tisk record, or I guess release, I should call it, because it's there's a video. The whole point is it's a video. It's what it is. It's a DVD. Like if you buy the thing and you put it in your car to listen to it, it won't work. Like it's a DVD. It's like an art piece more.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who made that is a really talented like multi-instrumentalist from the city who I know from back at the radio station, actually. Okay. And they approached me to wonder or just ask if I liked it and wanted to put it out, and I checked it out and I really liked it. It's very personal. Like it's based on their own sort of upbringing in Christianity and their experiences, both abandoning and sort of revisiting and refinding like some sort of connection to God through the church or otherwise. So it's like a very specific and intentional project, which is sort of very different than something like lighthearted, like the Flying Mausoleum stuff. I think it sort of has maybe is like the one exception so far to the sense of humor that pervades the rest of the stuff that I usually work on.
It didn't look humoristic in any sense of the word.
It's way more serious. And I had nothing to do with it. If I had something to do with it, there would have been I would have tried to lighten the mood somehow, probably, just because that's my nature. But the actual music itself, I still liked so much. And the video, to me, it's all about just watching it as a thing. Like even putting it on Bandcamp, I felt weird sort of breaking it down into tracks and like having it be like downloadable for $1 or whatever. I don't even know what it is on there. But the point being that I think it's meant to be experienced as it's like 20 minutes long. Yeah. If you can just put it on and watch it, that's the way to do it.
That's kind of why I stayed away, because I had the feeling that it was a total experience. But is it like a documentary or is it like more of an art piece, art video?
It's more of an art piece, but it's all they filmed it all themselves. So it's not like found footage. It's like it's them. I mean, just a description for people who are interested is it's basically like 5 to 15 second clips played in succession of various like abandoned like Presbyterian churches throughout various Protestant churches throughout the United States in like bumfuck places in the middle of nowhere, like mega churches that with the lights turned off and like little like playgrounds, daycares for children and stuff with like Noah's Ark in the background and shit. It's like anyone who grew up in the United States and went to a Protestant church has had nightmares about the things that are being portrayed in the video. So to me, it was incredibly affecting. I was raised Catholic, actually, so it's not the visuals. I mean, I understood them just culturally, but it didn't have the effect on me that I think it would have on someone who grew up in going to a church like that or something. But it's still a fucking haunting, sort of terrifying piece.
Yeah, I've heard some of those stories that come out of the States, that people, their upbringing is so interlinked with the mental state of religion that it can
Yeah,
become very haunting.
yeah.
Yeah. So no humor in that one.
No,
Definitely not.
sorry.
Yeah, no problem. It can't always be fun times, as we can see by the state of the world right now.
Right.
Um, I think for the label portion, I think we are done. I don't want to keep it under an hour like last time. That's again one of the things that I'm now because it was in the middle of the pandemic. We had nothing but time, but I kind of rushed it.
Right.
I don't know why. But we have a lot to talk about, so I want to dive into the second part, if you will. We last time we talked about the move, you going to Philly, which is your birthplace,
Not my birthplace, but my place that I grew up mainly.
your Heimat, like we
Yeah,
say.
yeah. Precisely.
So you went back to Philly, and I think the biggest change, and that will get us into the second part of the entire musical spectrum. The biggest change is that you found like-minded souls to create music again. Like Boul God is for New York, the PABM, or the Pennsylvania black metal crew scene, whatever you want to call it now. Were those people that you knew from back in the days, or is that new
No,
folk?
so the way I met them was an old release that I sent you a very long time ago, Incluse, which is like one of my various noise projects.
The one with the cone on it.
Yeah. I think it was that specific tape actually. This dude bought that tape, and it was like right before I was moving to Philly, and his address was just like down the street, and I was like, dude, like
Guess
I'm literally
what?
moving, yeah, literally down the street from you.
I'll bring it to you.
Yeah. So it's funny. I sent it to him, and I think the case got all cracked. So I think I ended up bringing him a fresh one later. But so I met them that way. I had heard Sylvan Throne,
Yeah.
one of their bands before that, but I wasn't like, I didn't like listen. I didn't really know about their shit. And then we just started hanging out. It started off as, and then I was working on a bunch of stuff at the time, and like we knew we wanted to work on music together, but we didn't understand necessarily the best way of doing it in terms of, should we start a new band, or like, do you guys want to be session musicians, or do you want me to feature or join one of your bands that you have going on or something? So it kind of just developed naturally, and then we started doing Doppelaxt, which I'm sure you'll want to talk about later.
Probably. They have a few bands, right? There is Gotex, which is more of the grinding war themed trio, maybe.
No,
Four-piece?
it's four piece.
Four-piece. Then I'm not sure if this is a band or just a guy, but Spellbearer on Instagram is the first thing that pops up.
Yeah, he's one of the dudes.
One of the guys, because I have the feeling that you are being shadow banned a bit by Instagram, just like some of my favorite labels.
I think the PABM shit definitely is shadow banned.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair.
I start to notice it with a lot of labels like New Era and stuff like that. That if you type in that it's there, but it's way on the bottom of the list.
Or you have to type like exactly what the handle is, otherwise it won't show up. Yeah.
That's why the Spellbearer came up. That's why I found it so weird.
I don't even know. It's funny. I don't know like who's who based on their stage names. So I'm literally looking on my phone right now to see which one Spellbearer is, so I can give you more. Okay. Oh, there's no pictures of him. So
no,
I think I know who's who. But
they have a lot of monikers and all.
Yeah, there are a lot of monikers.
I didn't dive in too much because
sure.
I'm thinking the bands are good enough, especially the Sylvan Throne, to maybe have one of the guys, just talk, because I'm in touch with him a bit. I told him we were doing this tonight, and he seemed hyped. So, hi guy.
You're talking to Spellbearer?
I
or
think so.
to the PABM Evil account.
I could look it up, but I think
whatever, one of them. Yeah,
one of them.
Okay.
Then there is let's see, Thx Horde, which is a band that is working with them, but I think different.
Yeah,
bands.
it's not. They're not like a PABM band. It's different dudes, but they're like longtime friends, and their music is really cool too, and they're local.
Yeah, so I would say the Sylvan Throne is, for my part, the most interesting band.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one for sure.
It kind of feels like one of the Atrocity Altar bands in that world, in that kind of scene. I haven't checked it out too much because I actually, with looking up, I stumbled upon the band. It kind of passed by me. I don't know why, but sometimes that happens.
Yeah, it's very specific. The production is very specific, especially on that last full length. I happen to love it, but it's like you need to like if you don't have the right speaker or headphones in or something, like it just might not hit you correctly. So and it just immediately starts with a fucking crazy blast beat and it like
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah, yeah.
stop ever pretty much.
There's no
So yeah, there's no sort of like it doesn't
frills, or,
coax you in, it just starts. So I would
which is
recommend listening to that full length Forbidden
which is weird
Pathways.
because if you look at the cover, it would seem that there is an entire world of details and spell blah blah blah, and it's just
Yeah. Straight ahead. It's very mad. The music is actually very magical, I think, in a sense, but like the riff writing more than anything else and the structures of the riffs. But the there's no frills, sort of. Like there's like one sample that begins one of the songs, but besides that, it's just like could have just been recorded in a basement pretty much.
Yeah. Speaking about riffs, we are going to talk next about double axed. This one.
Okay.
This is the first one. This is called Kill the Opposition. I think a lot of people know it that are looking at this or liking the channel. This came out on Signal Rex, I think, last year, 2021. And there is a new one that is still not in, but is coming, Blood Memory, from this year. I'll show the J card first. There you go. And then there's a lyric from one song, I think, on the inside. There you go. This is the Pennsylvania black metal, one of the more prolific bands, I would say, coming out of it, knowing that you are in it. Recorded at the Apocalyptic Sunrise Family Bunker, which I liked very much.
You like that? Yeah, that was that's the name of their like just a place where they record most of their not official releases, but like they rehearse and do demos and stuff. I think it's actually sort of being retired, unfortunately, but that was the place that I sort of became ingratiated into the family. Yeah,
I love that they have like 7,000 monikers and names for this and that. There's also the what's the other one? The Bearers of the Banner, which I also like, not specified, just the banner.
Yeah, I think it's that banner, the one, the PABM thing. Yeah.
So. But yeah, double axed. We are now firmly into black metal and raw black metal. There you go. I was actually that double axed.
That brings us way back to some of our earliest conversations. Yeah.
Because I remember, I didn't remember, but looking back at it, the X is also on the tape and on the cover of the tape, of course. But I remember you sending me the picture of the double X, and I made a remark like, I don't know what I said, but it made it shine that it was very off kilter, maybe to the right side of things, and you were like,
yeah. I was like, I was like, fuck. Because in the United States, it has nobody would know what that.
No, but I was just yanking your chain. But
yeah,
it was on the Acousmatic Hates. That was the first time.
Acousmatic Hate, and I used it in Blinding Sun too. I think I was originally trying to use that as like instead of having a sort of moniker that I used across projects, I would just sort of put that somewhere on the release as like a calling card. But I've stopped doing that.
Stopped doing that before the Black Metal Detective. It is cool to, that was one of the keystones that made me like, oh shit, he's in this one and this one too. Because when we last talked Blinding Sun, I only had the slightest notion that you were in Blinding Sun, not behind Blinding Sun. So it's cool to track the double X throughout the entire thing. Let's see, where am I? I think out of all the projects you are involved with right now or doing, double X is maybe the most black metal. As in pure black metal. We have the Blinding Sun, which is also, we'll get to it when we get to it, but this one has all the markings of, the riffs are there, the instrumentation is there. You have the inspiration comes from the Polish scene a bit, from the German scene like Moonblood, that kind of stuff, mid-90s. So everything thrown in together makes double X'd. I think in my opinion, the first, the Kill the Opposition, mainly is that. And then for the new one, the Blood Memory, it kind of feels like different influences are coming in, like Oi, like maybe New York Hounds, that kind of, maybe Chisel, that kind of world. The street punk stuff is coming in definitely in the first track. The second track, in the other tracks, it has less of that. But
No, you're
am I
totally
seeing
right.
ghosts?
I mean,
Okay.
I can explain a bit more. So when this first started off as I had written the first and last song on Kill the Opposition by myself, just making demos as I do. And I approached the PABM guys because we were trying to figure out, what we wanted to work on together. And out of all the stuff I sent them, this was the one they were like, oh, we got to do that.
Yeah.
So we turned it into a band, and we wrote that middle track, Rune's Call for War, together. And then at that time, it was sort of, the way I write tends to be like, I'll have an inspiration and I just kind of follow it. And there's a chance it just ends up sounding exactly like some other band or some other genre, or there's a chance it ends up being some completely unique thing. I don't really think about it while I'm doing it. I can sort of deal with the classification and stuff later. And then on later releases of certain projects, I can begin to refine it and be more intentional. But in the earliest stages of any sort of new project that I do, it always tends to be just natural and whatever happens to happen. So it happened that the first tape was pretty much just like, for me, I mean, a lot of people were saying it's like German and like Moonblood and stuff, but to me, it's just Graveland. Like, I know it could have sounded a lot more like Graveland, and I didn't want it. I wasn't trying to just do Graveland worship, but what was going on in my head was just Rob Darkin's face. You know what I mean? Like that's what I was thinking of when I was writing all that stuff. But by the time we had finished it and put it out and started thinking about like what we wanted to do next, it's honestly, I think, a limitation of the way that we rehearse and play together, or not a limitation, but I think our familiarity with each of the instruments that we happen to be playing, because we're all sort of doing something we don't normally do in the band. Like, I'm playing guitar, which is like, I mean, I do, I play guitar in a lot of bands, but it's not like my instrument. Like, I'm a bassist, that's what I am. Mm-hmm. And the drummer in Double Axe is like, he can play drums, but he's not a drummer, and the guy playing bass is like way better at guitar and drums than he is at bass.
Always a good recipe.
Yeah, always a good recipe. Exactly. So we sort of realized, like, okay, we have sort of not limitations, but we have predilections maybe, or tendencies that are going to end up influencing the way that we write music when we're sort of writing it collaboratively together, by jamming. Mm-hmm. And we sort of said, we don't want to just do like a straight up pagan black metal thing. Like, we would like to incorporate some sort of like street rock influence or something, because that's what we like playing, frankly. So
you're talking about the second tape then. So the
second tape, yeah.
The first tape has those. There are some haunting riffs on that one that really, because I've been listening to it this week in preparation of this. I've been listening to a lot of your stuff and those also, but I would say that and the Blinding Sun, there are some riffs or some guitar lines that just crawl in your ear and never leave. Especially on the first tape.
Right. Those riffs are what happens when I'm working by myself usually. Yeah. So like I tend not to be able to write like a full band's worth of stuff very well by myself in one sitting, but like I can definitely come up with a great riff or something. It's just something I've like learned how to do, sort of. So like the Blinding Sun stuff is all me exclusively. So I think that style of riff writing is a result of me doing shit by myself. And like the newer Double Axe tape has less of that. It's more based on how it felt to play sort of collectively. Yeah. And for that reason, it sort of has different influences and the riffs sound different.
Yeah, I like that it could be a different band in a sense.
We had someone say that to us, pretty much, like a close friend who we trust and send all our stuff to. He basically said, like, he was almost like, why are you putting this? Why is this Double Axe? Like, this should be a different band. And we rejected that because we said, I understand and I respect the sort of like keep separate projects separate, but like
it's very selfish of the listener like me, because I'm thinking the same thing like that guy. I'm very looking forward to a full length where the mix is maybe presented, because maybe on the third demo it will be a nice little mix of the German, the Polish, the Graveland, like you say, and the influence of Street and Oi. But I can follow his thinking. Like, we have 3 tracks on Kill the Opposition that are just murderous black metal, and then you get the bastardation of that sounds and the street punk coming in.
Well, the thing is, we knew that the important thing is that we knew we couldn't be a band that only did that, just the murderous pagan black metal, because if it were, in order for that to be the way that our band was, I would have to just write everything and then bring it to them and say, these are the riffs, play it exactly how I tell you to play it, which is not what we wanted to do. You know, like, we're friends. Like, we wanted to try and do more of like a band thing, and not just like, you're my musicians, which I, you know, understand and respect that style of band. And I have other bands where that's how we do things. But this one, we just made the decision, you know, as 3 friends, like, we don't want to do that. So that's the reason why the sound is different. That being said, though, the full length, which is going to be the next release, there's not going to be a 3rd demo. It's just going to be the full length.
Perfect.
The full length is primarily written by me alone. So it's going to be, I don't think it's musically going to sound like the first one or the second one, really. I think it's going to be, the mission with this one is actually to try and make something that sounds like new and like can be classified sort of as a separate genre altogether.
Yeah.
I won't announce what the title is yet, but the title is just like what we would like people to refer to our sound as. So that's the new stuff is going to be different in a way that will obviously disappoint people who just wanted Graveland worship and disappoint people who wanted like a street rock band, but hopefully will be exactly what we want, which is all that really matters.
Is it called battle metal?
Yes, it is. Yeah, you guessed it. There you go.
No, it was on, I don't know where I read it, but it was somewhere.
I think it's just on the Bandcamp. I think I just changed the Bandcamp preemptively as a preview. So, well, yeah, here, it's been leaked. Battle Metal is the name of the full length.
We can bleep it out if you want.
No, it's okay. I don't care.
Is it also on Sinalgex? Once again, you don't have to.
I think so.
Yeah. How did that connection come about?
We just posted the demo on
it
on Bandcamp, and he just emailed us like immediately. I don't know how he found it. He must have just been on Bandcamp and looking at like newest black metal or whatever. But yeah, he just emailed us.
How was is it fun working with him in a?
Yeah, he's good. He's insanely professional, and fast and respectful, and we haven't had any issues. We like him.
Yeah. Because releases are coming out like clockwork with him. It's incredible.
It's remarkable for a world that seems to be grinding to a halt in so many ways. He runs a really tight ship. So
yeah, I have the second one is coming in together with the Drowning the Light Evil Split. So that will be a nice mixture. Yeah, I think the grief process is a bit that we don't get to hear. Demo 1. And a mix of demo 2, but I think the only way for it to work was to just come out of the gates with a full length like the first demo. But I kind of also, knowing everything you're doing, I kind of also respect the fact that demo 2 is it's not 100%, a switch in sound, but it just allows more influences, like you said, bigger bands. It's those riffs, man. Those high clangy riffs that just run through the entire track, which I really like.
It's all this fucking guitar. You have this to thank.
A Squier. Is it a Squier?
Yeah, it's a Squier. It's the Jim Root Telecaster. Nice. The guy from Slipknot. It's his signature Squier model. I changed the pickups, but his guitar fucking rules. It's so fun to play.
The band fucking rules.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. Did I do everything from the move? Yes, I think so. The last thing I have written down is that all the promo pictures for Doppelhext, I love that someone is smoking.
Yeah, that's
the first one.
One of the guys. Yeah. Actually, yeah, it's in both of the pictures. Yeah. That's the attitude of that band. It's definitely a fuck you rock and roll attitude.
Yeah. Flicking them.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I'm eagerly awaiting the second tape. Who did the artwork for that one? Do you know by?
This guy named Nikita. He's Russian. He does a lot of like heavy metal and oi stuff.
Okay.
He says this sort of like fantasy oi style, which is cool and suited what we were going for.
Yeah, it looks insane. I'm regretting not picking up the shirt, but it has those sand colory tints that we tend to not wear.
That's true. Yeah, no, there might be a black and white version in the future.
Okay.
But as of now, it's just that one.
Is there because we get to the questions later, but is there a will they ever be put out on vinyl, or is it tape only for Double X?
We think we've had sort of loose conversations about doing a compilation of the first two demos.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't know. It's not my priority right now.
No. Okay.
I don't know what the demand would be like. I mean, so many people bought these fucking Doppelax tapes. I was surprised. So you never know. But I mean, the full length will be on vinyl for sure.
Yeah. Were you really surprised?
Was I really surprised?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was, because we didn't like advertise it. I guess the PABM guys kind of have their own little engine of sharing music, but like I'm used to putting stuff out and having trouble selling 15 copies. So it's me too. Like it's the same fucking dude making all this music. So it's just interesting when one thing is so far.
It's a combination. I'm not saying that everything else you're doing is not worthy, but it's probably a combination of an extremely good first tape, To Kill the Opposition, which are just 3 tracks that are, like I said, the guitars keep haunting me. But that, together with the fact that the PABM is kind of blowing up on social media here and there, and the fact that it's on Signal Rex, just makes it, the perfect storm.
I think so. Yeah, it's a bunch of stuff that I don't have going for any of my other projects, pretty much. So
that's why I asked about Signal Rex, because it was not weird to see it pop up there. It aesthetically and musically, it's just 1-2, I guess. But to how should I say that? To see that you are releasing control of a release was kind of. But you're doing.
I'm growing, man. I'm maturing a bit. Not everything has to be exactly how I want it. I still have plenty of stuff that is exactly how I want it. So I'm not worried about it. Yeah, like Blinding Sun is like I drive myself crazy trying to do that. So I might as well do some stuff that's just like lower stakes for me personally.
Maybe it's also good for your mental health, because before we started talking, you were saying how your life has been lately. It's maybe good to let go of some stuff. And
definitely, yeah. I mean, Doppelax has been nice for that reason, because it's like beer music, like it's not like I have to trap myself in a room for 3 days to write it music.
Yeah, it's more of a social thing.
Exactly.
Okay. That's it for that. I am not sure if on the first tape, is there a violin, or is that a guitar?
Those are synths. It's just synths.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And the synths on the second one, the second demo, the second track has a incredible synth sound. That's also in the first tape. The guitars are the haunting stuff that just keeps drawing me back in. The second track is definitely the synth on that second track.
Just wait for the full length.
Yeah,
it's gonna have some crazy instruments on it.
That's cool. All right, that was it for PABM. Like I said, I don't want to dive in too deep, because I know you are.
For sure, it's not my thing too. Like I'm not like I'm sort of an honorary like outsider member, peripheral sort of affiliate. I'm not like a diehard PABM guy, so you should talk to them about it.
Yeah, it's. I'm finding my footing in this kind of thing, because I always, like you said, you're the self-deprecating. I have the same thing, of course, but then with this. So I always have, like, if I contact the guys, and I've contacted a few people, and some of them, like the guy from Worm, he wanted to come on. He didn't see a problem, but some of the guys in our circle, and mainly the raw black metal, I can understand that they want to do it because they like what we're doing, but it's hard to. That's why I was initially talking to you, and always avoiding the harder questions or the truth, actually, to so it's this line that I'm searching. If I contact the guy from Silver Throne, do we have enough to talk about? With you, we just rattle and rattle.
I don't know. I mean, he did it. One of those guys did an interview with that podcast Terminus. You ever listen to that podcast? he did something with the Terminus podcast like really early on.
Oh, okay.
And like they just talked about Sylvan Throne for like however many minutes, and like
I have them in my notes for Blinding Sun. I started to listen, I think, around episode 20 or something like that. But I'm on and off with that podcast.
They put out so much stuff. It's really
Yeah.
hard to keep up with everything.
They put out more than me, so that's
Yeah.
all right. Into the third part, and that is once again we are switching gears. That is the Gorsedd FM. I just brought this record. I have a bunch of tapes through you, but this is the full length after a bunch of compilations. Yeah, there you go. That's the tape version. This is the LP version. The tape version is on Boul God.
Yeah. I put it out myself.
LP version is on Dead Shadows.
Yeah, that's right.
I have a problem with the mic, but here we go. It's actually a very gorgeous but simple looking sleeve. It is reversed cardboard, uncoated, but then with a very thick black oil screen print running all over it. You didn't do the artwork? It was Elva.
Elia, yeah, her name's Elia.
Yeah, Elia Inbar.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she has some great style. There you go.
Yeah, I mean that visually, I think this is probably my favorite thing I've ever worked on. Just her. I mean, the booklet on the inside is really where the magic is.
The center labels are an A and a B with the same letter type or the same line incorporated, and then the booklet it's all very staunch black and white earth tones, and then the booklet just explodes.
And you open it up,
into color. The first page is still black and white, but then there is an illustrated page for. There you go. The guy's helping me out. Look at that. There's an illustrated page for every track on here. The door left open, seat not where. So yeah, every lyric has a themed page. It feels very medieval in the sense that it has those scripture with the big starting letter. But yeah, it has a color palette that I haven't ever seen. It goes into these, it kind of feels poisonous in some way.
It's completely sickly. It's the best way I describe it is like it's if you were foraging for food and you ate something that was poisonous, not to the degree that it would kill you, but just that it would make you feel really bad or make you visually like hallucinate or something. That's sort of her style, is like this sort of sickly, like very organic, but also sort of frightening in an almost folk horror way, where it feels like this is like something, it's a sort of pagan horror. Like it's just the earth fighting against you.
That is a very good description.
Yeah.
I was putting it into a time frame. It has those, like if you can see these borders are very like avant-garde Brussels architecture stuff. But it has a very timeless feel also to it. The only thing I could relate it to is I had a friend who was a visual artist. He was a painter, but he was colorblind. And as his doctorate, or however you want to call it, he painted his paintings as he thought we would see them. And it kind of had the same color schemes. They were all fucked up.
Yeah. I can imagine her work normally is maybe less. It's maybe a bit more normally like beautiful, sort of. But in terms of like what I wanted her to work with, like she was very like just asking me like, what do I want? And it was one of those relationships, a commission thing where I was like, I want whatever you want to do, And she was like, yeah, but what do you want me to do? And I was like, well, whatever you want to do. So we sort of settled on this, and I think it was exactly what at least I was envisioning. It was just like maybe a slightly more poisonous or sad version of her normal artwork, but her normal artwork is incredibly sort of perverse and like dangerous looking but in a beautiful and cutesy way, almost cartoonish sometimes.
What was the direction? Because I think The Promise of Rot, which is how it's called, the album, I think that's a pretty good direction for someone to work in, especially if you're a visual artist. But
that's exactly what I did. I mean, the direction was me giving her the tracks and the lyrics. And I said, just sit down, take 30 minutes or whatever, and just listen to the album and read the lyrics along with it. And just draw what you would normally draw. And then I think it'll work out fine. And it did.
Yeah, it did. once again, it had me, it blindsided me because I was under the impression, because one of the guys I follow on Instagram who has purely black metal, who has the Unknown Kadat. I don't know if you know that.
No, I
Yeah,
don't.
he showed the record, and I was like, oh, okay. So I knew it was linked to you, and then I was just under the impression that it was because of the title, because of the artwork, because of where it was coming out, that shadow. I was under the impression that was just going to be pure blistering black metal, but lo and behold, I should have known, because the Gorsedd FM, we talked about it a bit in previous videos. It is one of the more, except for the El Hombre Evaporado, it's one of the more free and liberating projects you are involved with. It's you and another guy. It started, I think the first tape was on Night Vision. No? The first Gorsedd?
First Gorsedd tape was on no, it was on Somber Ritual.
Yes,
Canadian
Somber
label.
Ritual.
Yeah.
There we go. The
Somber Ritual, Clandestine from Glasgow, and then I think I put out some of our other earlier stuff, and then we started working with Death Shadow, and we did something with what is the name of that label? Asylum Tenebris or something?
Oh, yeah,
Was
from
that
France.
Yeah, from France.
Yeah.
So we've worked with a lot of different people.
Yeah. That's it. Somber Ritual. That is, I think, the seed that we got to know each other, because I got the tape from them, or from him, and he's from Canada, right?
Yeah, he's Canadian.
But he fell off the earth, and then I was looking into what the hell Gore Set FM, because in the same batch he sent me was that tape, the first, or the demo, and there was the Leshy, the first.
Leshy, yeah, they were side by side. It was such a cool thing to get released next to, because that tape is amazing.
And there were those were two tapes that had zero information on them, and that was my point, that I really had to work to find out what it is. And Leshy, I just found out, yeah, half a year ago maybe, that was Horrible Room, and that was the entire Russian scene. So that blew my mind that I had that tape for, I don't know, 3-4 years maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the impetus. But in the last video we talked about that Gorsedd FM is mirrored after bands that threw away the rule book, like something like Ulver, like the second one,
Ulver, Circle of Ouroboros,
yeah,
or Faust. Yeah.
The bands that are closely linked to black metal, but mainly in their beginning stages, and then just let go of the reins. Once again, when you said that, I couldn't really wrap my brain around it, because I was taking it very literally, looking for Ulver in the sound. And Ulver was again one of the bands that I actually discovered basically about a year and a half ago. Just really started listening to it because I was home all the time. So I made the connection that, yeah, it's not in sound, it's just in the fact that you can start with the seed of black metal and then just let go and see what comes out of it. We are not going to go through the entire discography, but just the last two, The Promise of Rot, and then the EP that is closely linked to it, the Holy Architecture, both from 21. I am extremely in love with the Holy Architecture because it has 3 tracks on there. The first one is basically an intro, if I can call it an intro. It seems derogative, but the 2 other tracks are, I don't even know what the exact way to pronounce it is. We call it parlando, which is basically musical, and then just a person or a singer just talks over it. It has,
yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, it has a very narrative. Yeah, very narrative way of coming to life.
Yeah, it's like an old like song poem. Like I think so. Compositionally, I had very little to do with that. It was mainly the other guy in the band.
Okay.
But he was
You on
inspired.
vocals?
Huh?
Is it you on the vocals?
No, it's him.
Okay.
And it's the first time he's done. Well, actually, he did some vocals earlier in the band, but I'm normally the vocalist for the band. But this was almost entirely him. I helped out in like mixing and putting it together and deciding like what goes where and composition and stuff. But he recorded everything himself and
Okay.
did it all. It's mainly his release. But yeah, I think he was inspired a lot by as far back as fucking Homer and like the Odyssey. You know what I mean? Like that's these sort of like epic tales.
Yeah.
And it's billed as music for a film that was never made, because it's supposed to have a sort of soundtracky element to it.
Yeah, one of my I never talked about this on the channel, but one of my favorite things is that kind of style that just I don't know if you know Shit and Shine.
I love Shit and Shine.
They
I
have
think we've talked about them. Maybe
yeah,
not.
probably. They have the track called On Cherry, but I don't know what it's called. It has those basic beat, and then the guy started talking. I was walking on the street, and then a guy came up to me with his bloody finger and asked for a cigarette.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of the narrative just talking over some music. I love that shit, man.
It's like especially when it's just like one thing repeating in the background.
Yeah,
It's like The Gift, that Velvet Underground song.
there you go.
Yeah, that's a good early example.
I have a playlist somewhere with all those, even Sunglasses at Night, and
Yeah.
that Baz Luhrmann track, Wear Sunscreen. So yeah, it kind of great little EP and a great compliment to the Promise of Rot. That is the first full length, right?
Yeah, the first one.
I was going to say it has a literary or narrative feel, but we'll keep that for the next section.
Sure.
What did I have here?
I got to send you one of these tapes, man.
Oh yeah. No, I'm going to make a donation to the channel to the Bandcamp, and then we'll see where we go from there. Because
Sounds good.
there is a there is a lyric on this record, which I was listening to it at work, I think yesterday, and I heard he expects so much for free, and I was like, okay, I'll pay.
It was not directed at you or any other listener. It was directed at a very specific person, though, a specific guy, but nobody that is going to be watching this video, so it's fine.
But it's very weird to do what you're doing, and then like, because I was thinking like I should buy the new tapes, and then I heard that lyric and I was like, damn, I should buy new tapes. Yeah, what I like about Gorsedd FM, one is that it's a different sound. It's all in the details, and I think you can hear it in the first track. The way the piano acts in the very first notes just sets the tone for the entire record. It has diet you once described as slint in a blender. I think Gorsedd FM has notes of slint, maybe not as obvious as diet. It has neo-folk, it has some gaze, it has emotive hardcore, especially in the vocals here and there, but the main thing is neo-folk and post-punk, those two things. But in a very modern way, I should say. It's only available on Bandcamp and then on YouTube, but it has so much potential that, and it's stupid to say, but that it could live on something like Spotify. It has the potential to be for a bigger audience.
It might be on Spotify.
Is it? Because I think I looked for it.
I'm gonna check right now. I know there's some Gorsedd stuff that like I didn't put on there, but like one of the labels did or something. But I'm not sure. I know some of this stuff is on. But your point is well taken. Yes, it has a sort of like it could be for an audience.
Yeah, it has an open quality that you can even, if you could bring it live. I don't know if you could, but that it could play on festivals, for example.
Yeah, we've gotten to a point where. And we're not currently there, but there was a time pre-COVID when me and the other guy were able to like do a pretty good job of playing the stuff live, just the two of us even. But if we did ever do a sort of live thing in the future, I would want to do it with more musicians. Because a lot of those riffs, it's like you just need two guitars, like it's not going to work with just one guitar.
No, it has a very full open sound that demands your attention in some way. It has the ability to be very in the background, but it has those pricks that just it's hard to describe it, that just get you out of your daily routine if you're listening to it like me at work. But yeah, there is in the description it says Northern and Eastern European rustic dark rock. I'm blanking. What bands?
I mean, that's one of those descriptions I came up with. That is, it's just a code word for like one band, pretty much. I was specifically referring to one band is called Key, which is the guy from Circle of Ouroboros and
okay.
And what do you call it? What's the name of his other band? God damn it, the black metal band. It's just pure black metal. Karis. That guy his name's Atvar, I think, or is that the other guy's name?
What's the black metal?
No, his name is Rauda.
Karis?
No. Oh yeah, Karis. Yeah. That's the guy from Circle of Ouroboros. It's two guys. Hold on. fucking blanking. I always get, there's two guys, but they have three names that they sort of use across the two of them.
Yeah.
And it gets confusing. But in any case, it's the guy who's not Absolute Key, not him.
Okay. Yeah.
Not Clemmy, not him. It's the other guy. In any case, he has a band called Key, which is one of the main direct influences for Gorsedd generally, but especially this record.
And Key is a solo project?
Key is a solo project. Yeah, it's just him. It's essentially like, yeah, somewhere in the triangle between like neo folk, post punk, and like dark folk, I guess would be the term. The other band that, like, when you think of dark folk as a genre, I think that
because it's a world I don't know nothing about.
So it's actually, I think you would like it a lot. There's this band called Tenhi, Tenhi. I've never heard them, but they're sort of like I think they're from Finland actually.
Okay.
Yeah, they're from Helsinki.
Do you like Finland?
Never heard of it. They're a good example of what I mean by rustic dark rock, I think I called it, because it's like, or another great example, not Armageddon, but Lik is the name of the band, Lik.
Yeah, okay.
Their shit is like, basically it's just like rock music, but it's clearly comes from black metal and like could be classified as black metal.
Yeah, it's steeped in black metal imagery, but
right, and stylistically and attitude and lyrics sometimes, but the music itself is basically just, it's pretty low gain and stuff, and
kind of the perfect 1-2 for Gorsedd FM, because I looking at it and the feel from the first demo, it kind of has it plays with the aesthetic, but just like Ulver does, for example. I think if you take a band like Ulver, and we talked them to death on the channel last year, but if you take their entire discography, I would say 10% is black metal.
Yeah,
out of the entire.
I mean, it's the first couple albums, pretty much.
Yeah, but they're still in the top 10 of every black metal list, which is incredible to me. Just
yeah.
They play with the aesthetic and it's that very little part of the band that just dominates the entire thing, which is cool. But
you that happens a lot in metal. I think an underrated amount, especially for early bands like Dark Throne. They just turned into a fucking crust band for a while, and then a heavy metal band, and like Entombed, Wolverine Blues. It's like, that sounds nothing like Entombed as people know them, So that happens a lot, I think, than more people would like to give credit for. And it's not cool, sort of, in the way that, like, when people are getting into black metal, especially, they're doing it for a certain vibe and aesthetic, and it's easy to sort of write off all the other stuff that is not directly in keeping with that, as sort of bastardization of it, or doesn't count as the band, or it's a different era or something. But like, to me, it's all kind of forcing yourself to look at it all as one thing enriches the listening experience so much more, because when you're listening to fucking Ulver play like a dark wave song or something, and that these are the same guys who were making that crazy shit back in the day, it provides context that makes it so much more enjoyable.
It would be cool to, especially for Darkthrone, if they could, to make a record that has all the things, like from the first death metal beginnings over the Necro Black to what they're doing now, and then and I think they're trying to do that in the later, or the three last ones, but you can hear Fenris not willing to let go of the heavy metal.
He refuses. He's way too cool to like do black metal. Yeah,
but hey, whatever.
I fucking love the last couple Darkthrone records, especially
think,
Old Star. To me, that's what it's called, Old Star, the last one.
Is it the last?
No, not the one that just came out, the one previous to that.
It's Eternal.
The last one is Eternal Hills. Fucking title.
7 points.
No, the one before that is fucking amazing. That's one of the best albums of whatever year, 2018 or whatever.
And I think the one before was Arctic Thunder or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's the new trilogy.
I like that stuff a lot.
Yeah, is there something more you can say about Gorsedd?
I mean, that hasn't already been said. No, not really. I mean, it's I guess I'll repeat something that I feel like I might have mentioned last time, but the whole point of that band is like, that every release is supposed to be different. Yeah, it's an amazing poster. I love that one. Every release is different. We're not trying to do the same thing twice ever, really.
But
So like
is that not the overall thing with Mr. Boul God, I think? Have you ever done anything twice? I don't
the
think.
same thing twice. The two middle Blinding Sun tapes, like not the debut and not the full length, but they're pretty similar. But yeah, I mean, I tend to do that generally. But with Gorsedd, it's like the next thing is going to sound pretty different. It's going to sound more like Coil, I think, is probably the best way of describing it. So, and maybe like later over, like maintaining a sort of, it's like based around electronics more, but still has a sort of like post-punk-ish sort of, cold wave-ish vibe.
Okay. I think if I have to be honest with myself, listening to this week, Blinding Sun, Thx, Gorsedd FM, if I am completely honest, it's the one I'm most curious about to see what the next step is going to be. Just because of the maybe unpredictable stuff that is going on in the band from release.
Me too.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see too. I mean, it's unpredictable, really. Like we know we have a sort of vision, but we figure it out as we go. So we'll see what it ends up like.
Okay. Before we dive into the very, very last and longest probably section, I put up the question for questions. And normally when I do something on the channel, like when we do a giveaway or something, it's like 3 people kind of respond to it. Now we have 2 questions. The one is from Frekang on Instagram, a Belgian guy, it seems. And he says, will there be releases on European labels or compilation vinyls? I know Single X is doing the double X, but...
yeah, so I think... I don't know if the Doppelax demo compilation ends up happening. It's not... I don't think it's going to be on Signal Rex, actually. I think it's going to be on a different label. Mm-hmm. And if... I'm trying to think what else. So Blinding Sun, there's a 12-inch compilation of Graveyard Peace and Life's Joke. So the two middle tapes that is coming out on Night Rhythms, which is US based, unfortunately.
What else have they done?
Fuck. They're like the US importer. He's mainly a distro. He's the US importer for like all of the Brugmansia, like Wagner Odegaard, Tom Het, Volkanaz stuff.
That's where I know him from.
He's like the main dude in the US for that stuff.
Okay.
But he's doing a Blinding Sun compilation. I really want to put CDs out. That's my new thing. And in Europe, I feel like people love CDs even more than in the US. So
I mean, give it another half year and everybody will love CDs again.
You think so? You think it's, I mean, it's definitely for me, it's like I'm fully CDs now. Like I've sold so many of my records.
Nobody's able to press vinyl anymore. So
that's true.
It's becoming, 1, the presses are full, and 2, there are no grondstoffen, we say. I don't even know how to call it in English. The raw materials, they are just not there.
Yeah. The fucking vinyl itself, whatever it is.
One of the reasons I heard last week, and I don't know who told me, but it seems that due to the lockdown, a lot of people were renovating their kitchens, and they needed a lot of vinyl to.
That's hilarious. For the like marble countertops, like coating it or whatever.
Like I was like, okay, so that's why I'm not getting my records.
Makes sense.
Could be. So that was the first question. I hope we answered that. But yeah, EU releases, check Signal Rex. I think they're sold out of the tape by now.
Yeah, so Crypt of the Wizard, I mean, again, not Europe technically, it's UK, but he gets a lot of my shit in. Anytime I put something out, he pretty much has copies of it. But compilations, yeah, I want to do more compilations. I just feel like it has to be something that like you can't easily just get the original version of. So down the line, I mean, there was talks. So a good example, Horrible Room just put out
true,
a repress of the first Blinding Sun tape and then put out a Acousmatic Hate compilation of my stuff. So that's a European thing. I mean, I don't know if you can get anything from Russia. It's Asian, I guess, technically, but it's its own fucking place. But mainland Europe, no, not really. The Signal Rex is the only place, and that's just Doppelax. So I don't know if anyone's watching this and has a label. Let me know.
Maybe we need to kick Svartblad into gear again.
Yeah.
Funny you mentioned Charlie because he was actually the second one posing a question. Crypt of the Wizard. Name both of your favorite East London underground metal record shops.
The old Crypt of the Wizard and the new Crypt of the Wizard.
Yes, the black and the white. Hi, Charlie. How are you? We'll talk soon, I guess. So yeah, 2 questions, of course. I don't know why, but the reach is there, but questions or it won't come in. Whatever.
It's because everybody who would watch this video and has a question for me is probably someone who I talk to anyway.
Yeah, probably.
So they probably just ask me,
Good for them. Good for them that you are a reachable character. Which puts us firmly into the second to last. I would say there is some bonus material, but the last chapter in this one. And I skirted the question the last time because I got from you this tape, the Blinding Sun Graveyard
Piece
from July 20. I honestly didn't know that this was your project when we last spoke. This came out on Dead Shadow Records, but I showed it. I'll show it again because it's actually a very nice tape. This is the second release, but it's actually the third release if you read the lore of the band.
That's right, yeah.
Which makes sense, and we'll talk about it in a bit. This is the in and out of the thing, and then there is this plastic little extra sheet in there. Why it makes sense, because, and that's where I was wrong with the Gorsedd, the Solar Humanity, the first tape that came out on Night Vision.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is now, like you said, re-released by Horrible Room. And that was very steeped in that extremely raw US, actually the Night Vision sound, if you will, because of the at that time, and it's 2020, which is not that long ago, we're speaking 2 years, but they were one of the labels that kind of put the US raw on the map at that time. I know they did a lot of Nachtlicht stuff, and I don't know who is behind the label, but I'm assuming they have something to do with that entire Nachtlicht, Nistang, those guys. But yeah, they put that sound on the map, and you were, together with the Acoustic Hate and maybe some other that I'm still blanking on, was very off the time and of that sound. It kind of grew and grew. The production got a bit better with every tape. I think there are 3 EPs, or is one of, no, there's 3 EPs, right?
Blinding Sun, yeah. Three tapes and then the full length.
3 tapes and the full length, because Graveyard Piece has a lot of tracks, but still considered an EP.
It's an EP still, yeah. I think somebody on Discogs listed it as an album or something, but it's not.
It's just because it has more than 5 tracks.
Yeah. I think it has, it might have more tracks in the full length, or the same amount or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, something like that. The Solar Humanity was the first EP. It has the 4th track is incredibly fast, hard, even punishing, and it has a wilder sound than the rest of the tape. Where were you at that time, or where did that come from? What was the impetus of Blinding Sun? That's maybe. If there was.
Jeez, yeah. The impetus of Blinding Sun was probably me experimenting with new production styles, frankly, of recording myself in ways that I didn't used to record myself, namely with a 4-track, or technically an 8-track, but I only use 4 of them. So with a 4-track tape machine, or cassette rather. So that was the impetus, was sort of just like what sounds good on this, mixed with what was I listening to at the time. Yep. So I was listening to a lot of Laskowiak is the name of the band. They're from the US, from California.
Are they
or Angkorvat was the name of the other band, that the same guys. It's like before like Brotherhood of Light, that like NS label. It's like pre Brotherhood of Light, like it's that guy plus like some other guys who aren't like NS people, who did Laskowiak, and then all those guys left, and it was just the one guy, and he kept doing stuff under that title. But I was listening to a lot of their stuff. And what else was I listening to? A lot of French shit. But not, I don't really know. You know, it's funny. I've asked myself this, like, where do these riffs come from? Sort of. Honestly, I think like they're just things. A lot of it is built around, not so much on the first tape. Starting on the second and third tape, it's built a lot around just like two guitar harmony and like what riff can I create out of two separate guitar lines playing rhythmically almost the exact same thing, but melodically counterpointing one another.
There is a big jump between the first EP and then what I think is it's why they are coming out as a compilation. The second and the third are not. They are intertwined. They're both separate entities or separate releases, but they are very close together. It's like
they were recorded pretty much back to back.
Yeah. Okay. So you have the starting demo, then you have the main bulk, which is those two EPs, and then the big full length that we're going to talk about. But the
first. So to answer your question more directly, the first demo was more of a sort of a proof of concept. It was like just sort of the results of my experimentation. And lyrically, I sort of decided like on this sort of humoristic anti-humanism, like, just like the funniest parts about self-hatred and shit. Like that was sort of what I was focused on.
Okay.
And it's sort of like literary suicide is the best way I can describe it. Like books where the characters kill themselves, but the author's still alive.
American Splendor in black metal.
That's sort of what was inspiring me, and that sort of has stuck with the project. But the sound has sort of developed around that. But there's been, a sort of attitude I think that has permeated across all of the releases.
Yeah, there's a definite jump in production is maybe the wrong word, but it's hard for me because I'm not a musician, but it feels like the sound is being torn open from release to release, and I'm counting the Graveyard Piece and a live choke as basically a release. It seems the Graveyard Piece has that more open, echoing sounds that the first tape had that very closed, raw, almost incel sound, if you want. And then
it did have an incel vibe.
Yeah. And then the live choke has it's October 20. It even gets more melody in the riffs, but the more beauty gets interjected in the music, the more hateful the vocals become. It's like it's like a dissection of music and vocals, and they kind of go separate ways in a way. Maybe that is the joke in the music. I don't know, but
I think so. Yeah. No, I mean, I'd be happy to talk more about the vocals specifically, but Life's Joke, I think, is the best vocal sound I've ever recorded on anything ever. I don't think I could ever do it again. It was purely the way I do vocals for this band is first take everything. Yeah. Like I just get myself in the right headspace and record them. But Life's Joke was like, the happiest I've ever been with the way the vocals sounded. But I think what you're describing, it's a sort of 80-20 rule, like of how much work each is doing. And by the time you get to the full length, it's like the vocals like are not the point really, But they kind of are though, because they kind of stand out in a way they don't stand out on the other one. So it's interesting.
The full length is a different chapter in the Blinding Sun conversation, because like I said, on the Gorsedd, the literary and the narrative becomes very important. I think it starts, in my opinion, on the live choke. You have track 3 and 4, which are kind of a continuation. If you have the continuation of the second EP and the third EP, you have a continuation in those tracks, because it seems to me, once again, I'm not a musician, that the riffs or the sound just intertwine and become one big track.
That's right.
So it suggests narrative, which is being pulled open. That concept is being pulled open to the max in what is going to become the Magic Mountain, of course, because it's based on a book.
Yeah. I mean, the narrative is all over that fucking thing.
Was that concept present in because I basically missed it in the first one or the second one? Was that coming into the narrative, if you will, or was it always there?
lyrically, yes. In I would say starting well, because it's interesting because Life's Joke is, like you said, was actually the second thing that I made. So I started that then, and it lyrically exists in Graveyard Peace as well. There's no lyrics published for those, so it's harder to sort of track what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that, except the difference is that it wasn't based on someone else's story or one cohesive sort of tale. It was each track was just kind of telling its own story. And I really liked that element of the creative process. And I have sort of experimented with being a proper writer in the past, but like it's not my medium, So this was a nice little place for me to sort of pretend like I was writing short stories or something like across each of the songs. And then obviously the Magic Mountain is its own beast.
Let's dive in.
Yeah.
I had this one in my top 2021. Looking back at my top now, I kind of made it easy for myself because I was mainly showing records in the last 5 that are the Stormkeep, the Worm, records that are grandiose, that are very good, but that are basically easy listening records within the genre of black metal. I warned you that I was going to blow smoke up your ass. If I am completely honest, the Blinding Sun, the Magic Mountain, and the Gorsedd FM should be. I'm not going to say 1 and 2 because that would be too much, but they should be very up there.
Thank you. It's very kind.
The first time I heard this, I didn't get it. I mean, it was raw black metal, but it was definitely not raw black metal, and it incorporates so much styles. And I think, if I may speak for you, you will correct me if I'm wrong, that this is the most personal project you are doing, mainly because it's a solo project. But it also incorporates all the aspects that is the entity Boul God into one condensed version of you that is then Blinding Sun. Or Self. I think that's the moniker.
Yeah.
Magic Mountain is for someone like me who is basically illiterate. I read zines. I definitely haven't read Thomas Mann's Magic Mountain. It is so complex because, one, it deals with basic material, that is the novel. But then it is intertwined with your personality also. So it's kind of a different reality where those two come together to form the narrative or the conceptual, whatever you want to base this record on. It is
That's
not
very well said. That's correct. I would agree.
So I'm on the mark. What really struck me here, and it has the double X has the same riff style, if you will, but double X ignores the beauty of life, while Blinding Sun embraces it. I think they are more romantic in a way, or more dreamlike, if you will. So it kind of builds up this entire world of everything that is you, intertwined with everything that you are interested in, everything that you've been working on, and it is. I still think it's not the final stage. I think the next Blinding Sun will be.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm hoping it's going to be the explosion of the sun, if you will. But yeah,
the supernova. Yeah,
the supernova. I warned you, it's going to be on the verge of cringe. But yeah, this is once again the Magic Mountain by Blinding Sun, and it is an incredible record. It is on Dead Shadow Records. It is such a beautiful, good record that I bought it twice because this is the Palette Vesture tape edition. This is, once again, in Boul God style, limited to 30 copies, I think.
30, yeah.
30. I just found out today that the owner, the previous owner, which was a guy on Instagram that now disappeared, kind of stood me up because the card that has the...
yeah, you're missing the ski jumper.
Card, but I already contacted the label.
Okay.
to make it work. But yeah, this is the tape version, which is beautifully handmade. The booklet is actually nicely done. It has all the same lyrics. Yeah, I don't know. Are they lyrics, or are they pieces of the book?
They're lyrics.
Okay.
They're all I wrote all of them, but they're inspired by the specific translation English translation of the book. So some of the actual phrases are lifted from this translation, but the lyrics are not lifted. They're original. And there's also that booklet contains some original writing that the
LP doesn't have.
Vinyl doesn't have.
Yeah, I was thinking because it kind of matches up. I was looking at it last night. It kind of matches up, but it seems like it has a bit more here and there.
I think it has like intros to each of the sides of it. So like it has like a side A and side B, like intro sort of prologue piece, I suppose is the right word for it. And it obviously has photos that aren't in the LP.
Yeah, because the skier is also not included in the LP, right?
No, I mean, it was supposed to be the test press cover. I don't know what ended up happening with that, but it's supposed to be the test press.
Because looking at it and reading about it, there was one article where where it kind of felt like it was a very important image within the entire concept.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and then it was weird that it was not in the vinyl, and it had this, I would say, maybe random snow.
For readers of the book will recognize what that photo is meant to be a reference to. But the ski jumper has nothing to do with the book, really. I mean, they ski in the book, but like there's no ski jumping, at least. But that specific image, I actually don't know. I think there was definitely a version of the LP cover actually that had that on it. That was originally the LP cover, and then ended up deciding on this photo instead, which I felt worked better for an LP format. And then the ski jumper was supposed to be the test press cover, but I don't know. It never ended up getting made, I guess.
I kind of like that that it had that ultimate free moment of the skier jumping off the mountain with them.
It's pure life. Yeah, with the algae's rune shape. Yeah,
it is a very fitting extra image for the record, I would say. I am talking too much and I'm losing a bit of the thread, but
you were just describing what you thought about how it's a more personal record maybe than someone would think, because it's easy to just hide behind the narrative and say, oh, this is based on someone else's work.
There you go. So
but you're the first person to have identified that.
Okay. Because I was looking for the sites. There was one very good article, but I have so much shit going on here. I think
it's the Call of the Night, that interview.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that was an amazing. That's one of the best.
It's a very short one, but it's very insightful as to what the record is, because it's mainly your words. But yeah, sound wise, there's been comparisons to BBH, Blazebird Hall in there. It mainly deals with the attack of the riffs or the attack in the songs. I think it's legit because knowing you, I know there are some influences here and there, but that's just one micro drop in the entire pool that is Blinding Sun. In my favorite track on here is He Cries Progress, and then whatever the title is. The riff in there is just, it's stuck in my head for the last month or so.
That riff in particular, I love. It's probably, I don't know if it's my single favorite one I've ever written, but it's definitely up there. I mean, it's not as original though, or I didn't think it was as sort of like big of a deal when I wrote it. I just thought, oh, that's a good riff. But a lot of people have commented on it.
Yeah.
And can I ask, like, why?
It's hard to explain. It's sometimes you hear a sound or you hear it's one of those things that gets, because I listened to Terminus. They spoke about the record today, and they said the same thing. It is when you're not listening to the record that thing will pull you in. It's because
it's very long. It's very long.
And if you take the basic structure of the entire song, the drums are programmed. They just, I heard the quote this week that choices made in drumming style. So you make the choice and you just go to the end of the track.
Yeah, that's correct.
So it's very, it's in some way very monotone if you just take drum beat alone. And I am a drummer, quote unquote. If you listen to the drums and you're doing stuff or you're drawing or writing, and then that riff is one of the things that just pulls you out of the your world and just blasts you into the record or the Magic Mountain world. What it is, I can't say. It's just the tone of the guitar, the Squire, the way it's played. It is, yeah. To put it in a stupid word in this context, it's just beautiful.
Well, thank you.
If you hear the sounds, I immediately go to the artwork. Just the staunch. You're alone in some weird ass fields. There's a pond. There's some image you don't understand. It just it kind of encapsulates the entire world you are trying to produce in the narrative or in the sound of the. I don't know. I think that's the best way to describe it for now. Because once again, ask me again about in a year about this record, and I won't change my mind completely, but it will mean something different for me, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the thing I like about that riff personally is that it's sort of what you're describing. It takes you out of the not only what you're doing, but it sort of takes you out of the narrative in a sense. Like that song is not it's not like the first and the last song, which are very like sort of linear. Like it's this riff and then it's a new riff and then it's a new riff and it builds and it's a new riff and a new riff. This one is just like that's the riff. That's the song.
Yeah.
And
it's like
if you don't like it, you're fucked. But
maybe
hopefully
like,
people do.
If you consider it to be let's just say you enter what's it called?
The hotel.
Yeah, the hotel, the spa and cure house.
Yeah.
Let's just say the soundtrack playing in that thing is your record. And I'm not going to say the rest is elevator music, but that is the theme.
It's the theme of the album.
The
yeah.
theme of the album and the theme.
I agree. I think that's correct.
Yeah. It's like the Bond song. But
yeah. No, totally.
Yeah. I don't know what more to say about it. It's just it's a good record. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Thanks. Yeah. I was happy with it. The in the future, what's interesting is like in the future, I have this sort of idea of doing something really different with the production, but keeping the music similar in the future. I'm not going to go fucking hire session musicians and do like some elaborate recording thing or with like a professional or something, but I have an idea of sort of having a more live instrumentation feel. God only knows if that is actually going to be the case. But I feel like this record was this is like everything I wanted to do with this project over the past couple years since I started it. Yeah. And I sort of did it. So it's like I either just stop Blinding Sun or the next thing has to be sort of like a new, a sort of adding some other element or advancing it in some way. Like I don't want to make another one that just sounds like this, sound wise at least.
For me personal, the wish is for Blinding Sun and for you is that you have reached a point with this where you can say, like you said, this is everything I wanted, and that entire package or that baggage can be put in that record and put in its place. You just put it between the other records, and then now you have the complete scope of
the
what is possible
to choose from. Yeah.
So that's the hope. We are reaching the end of our natural conversation. I think we have some stuff that we prepared, which will be the bonus content, but maybe we'll cut it here so we can have a little break.
Sure. Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me on, man. You're one of the most insightful people in music criticism, journalism on the internet for sure, I think. And I think it's a shame that more people don't watch your videos, but
that's fun to
I think your channel has grown exponentially.
It's all thanks to now people can actually see the pores in my face, and
right. I think the algorithm recognizes you now, whereas before it was like it didn't know what it was looking at. Yeah, it was like, is this like stop motion or something?
Welcome to the claymation channel. That is.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you guys back in the bonus portion. Right. But thank you very much.
Till then.
Right. Cut. I need to pee, man.
All right. Yeah, me too. I'll be back.
Me, Thomas.
Yeah, that's okay. I gotta pee too.
I'm happy to do. I mean, I don't give a shit.
Okay.
I'm free. I mean, I'm done when you guys are done. So
Not like you're married or something.
not yet.
Once again, man, congrats.
Thank you.
Are we recording?
I don't think so.
Yes.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, we are still. Yeah.
We are. Okay, so what do I have? I have some random questions for you that maybe are really quickly answered. We have the 5 releases.
Yeah, so I've been puzzling over this since you asked me. This is one of the hardest questions that anybody's ever asked me.
Yeah, but it is one of the hardest questions.
Yeah, it's insanely difficult. And I will, okay, so the question, to be clear, was what are the top five most influential albums?
Basically. On the entire Boul God. But yeah.
On the entire Boul God. So that's an extremely difficult question because there's so many elements. One element is that it's albums as opposed to bands or releases or songs or genres or scenes. You know, like there's so many other things that could slot in there. The other one is that you have to limit it to 5, which seems like a completely impossible thing. And relatedly, that it's top 5, implying some sort of ranking or ordering among them. And then that it influences all of my stuff, which is so hard to say because I have,
thinking about it now.
But
thinking about it now, my basic question was, I have a little homework for you.
Okay. You just prepare some stuff to talk about, basically. Yeah. So the way I took it was, I found 5 albums that I think are extremely influential for. Ignore my dog if you can hear him. Sorry. Extremely influential for me. Not necessarily the top 5. Like, there's a good chance I'm missing something.
Yeah.
But these are, and they're not in any particular order, I will say too. So the first one is, I will say also, I'm not being a good White Filth guest, but I don't have physical copies of any of them because I've recently been selling pretty much all my records and trying to trade in for CDs. Actually, that's why. So I'm selling stuff that I can get on CD if the vinyl is worth more than the CD, pretty much.
Interested party over here.
Yeah. Okay. So we can talk about that later. But the first one is it's a band called Sun City Girls. I don't know if you ever listened to them, but
I'm familiar with the concept of Sun City Girls.
Yeah, Sun City Girls. So yeah, it's hard to pick even one of their albums, but I guess the most influential is probably it's called 330,003 Cross Dressers from Beyond the Rig Veda. That's the name of the album.
Okay, that's probably the same number as the releases they have.
Yeah, yeah, it's somewhere similar. Yeah. It's a 2-hour-ish double album. First CD is mainly guitar based, and then the second CD is all gamelan music, so almost entirely gamelan music. It's extremely influential on everything I do. I think one thing that it strikes me about the band and that album specifically is like, it's extremely unsettling and disturbing, and it's extreme music, like in the same way that like Throbbing Gristle or fucking Dark Throne is weird, like
weird
industrial. Even stuff that it's extreme music in the sense that like even if it's not the most intense, it's not like you're listening to like White House or something. Mm-hmm. It if you played it for a normal person, they would feel extremely uncomfortable and would not feel comfortable like having it on, so it's but the thing is, they're not playing metal, they're not screaming. Well, I mean, he comes close to screaming sometimes, but it's pretty much just like rock music, but it's just so fucking terrifying and disturbing. And that to me is just and plus it has that sense of humor that I look for. So it's extremely influential in the sense that it shows how extremity and sort of uncomfortableness can come from things that aren't necessarily like the tropes that you would find in black metal or harsh noise or something. So that's the reason why it's on there.
The word freedom comes to mind in all
extremely free. Their stuff is extremely free. I mean, Flying Mausoleum is essentially a Sun City Girls worship project. Like, it started as a live band whose first show started with a cover of a Sun City Girls song. So like it's sort of the impetus. It was like taking inspiration from where they left off.
Is
I don't mean to compare myself to them because I'm not on that level, but
Sir Richard Bishop, is that one?
yeah,
of
yeah,
those?
he's
Okay.
the guitarist. Yeah, he's one of my favorite guitarists of all time. Extremely influential in my own playing. I'm not good at guitar like he is, and he's like a jazz guitarist. Like he can fucking play his ass off in circles backwards, but his melodic sense and the way he straddles the line between like noisy and free playing and like traditional playing, or like rock playing, or just like his command of styles is so influential in the way I approach playing guitar. So
I think I have some solo releases of him, but no Sun City Girls.
yeah, I would recommend checking them out. It's a tough band to get into because they have so many different styles and
so many different releases. You have
so many releases. Yeah.
You have to.
I mean, there's stuff that's very like well produced. There's stuff that's extremely raw. It's like kind of depends on what you're in the mood for. But if you like Shit and Shine, I don't see how you wouldn't love Sun City Girls. They're very similar.
There's a direct line between those two bands. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
They should tour together, actually.
Yeah, I think they probably did. Probably. Yeah, so that's number one in the sense of the first album that I'm going to mention.
Cool.
And it's also the first one I put on the list because it felt like a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. Number two is Spiderland by Slint. I put that on there just because
You almost said it apologetic.
Yeah, no, it is. It's fucking lame, but and you knew it. You knew that already. But the reason I put it on there is because I've only recently realized how much of an influence it had on Blinding Sun, on the left and right channels, two guitars, playing nearly identical things, but with slight differences. Also, Gorsedd FM, obviously, the playing in there is
entire thing. But I think we're far enough into the narrative of music or just the timeline that we can, as a collective, just embrace them and not just. We don't listen to it because it's cool to listen to it. It's
right.
It's just a top 10 record of all time.
Of all time, yeah. And I don't listen to it. Let's get that straight. I won't sit there and listen to it because it's that's not what it's for, sort of. It's not for listening to if you've already listened to it as many times as I have. I've completely internalized every note of that album.
But it's the same as with the riffs of Blinding Sun, and I'm going to listen to it, but once you hear that from Slint, you don't have to hear it again because it's in your head.
Right. Yeah. It's just you understand it now.
You can classify the album as listened to.
Right.
Top tier.
Yeah. It's just clearly one of the best things ever. So that's on there for sure. I had a tough time picking like a punk album because I think so much of my guitar playing and drum playing specifically is punk, just like because I'm shitty at, and I never had a teacher and I just learned by myself. So it's like the Misfits were my favorite band growing up and that kind of thing. So I had a tough time picking one album that I thought was indicative of that. So I ended up picking an album that captures that, but also captures another element, which is Pink Flag by Wire, the first Wire record.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was extremely influential on, believe it or not, Acousmatic Hate and like my first forays into doing music by myself. I kind of imagined myself as like, what if I played Wire, but it was black metal?
Ah, okay. Wasn't
Acousmatic? It didn't end up sounding like that, but this was my first brain
because
thoughts.
If I remember correctly, the way Acousmatic Hate was described was link ray through a Uditech lens or something like it.
Yeah. That's another way of putting it. Which Wire in a lot of sense was like, what if it was artistic versions of sort of. I mean, it was post-punk, like in the most classic sense. Yeah. It was very post,
It's maybe the Pink Flag of post-punk.
Yeah, probably. So that's definitely on the list for me. Also, just as an album, like again, every note of it is perfect, and I wouldn't change a thing about it.
Just the iconic cover, everything.
Yeah, it's super influential. The Blinding Sun album cover is like the Magic Mountain is basic. It's not the same thing, but it's the same idea,
If you have the narrative, to use the word again, in your head, it's
right. Yeah. So that's number 3. Number 4 is a split, actually. between Circle of Ouroboros and this band called Crooked Necks from the United States.
Okay.
The album's called Ruins of Resurrection. I don't know if you ever listened to it, but it's
Circle of Ouroboros is one of those bands that I'm blanking on to my shame that I have some of their records and I have listened to them, but I haven't. It's a band that I don't know. Maybe when I'm done working and my pension is there, that I have time to listen to it, because this channel it doesn't look like it most of the time. Maybe when I'm talking on YouTube, but it is all consuming in the sense that we are constantly talking about new releases. And I have been better in looking back and doing, like the trilogy stuff, or maybe putting a spotlight on artists from the past, which will become, I'm doing starting to prep a Greek black metal, early black metal. So
sick. That'd be cool.
yeah, looking back into, and just taking a breather, because especially working with Adams, we have been, putting the pace up. So we are going to take a breather and just try to relax and, maybe take time to listen to something like Circle of Ouroboros, because it's in a way comparable to the Blinding Sun in the fact that it has so much going on that is overwhelming for me to listen to it, and you have to listen to it 6 times to
totally. And you need to listen to 6 different albums before you like a single one of them. Yeah, you need it's a really exploratory sort of experience when you're first getting into it. And it's really difficult and but they're one of the most rewarding bands. Once you've unlocked them, holy shit, their fucking discography is amazing. And I mean, it's the same thing with Sun City Girls. It's like so difficult to get into, but once you do, and once you unlock it, you understand what's going on, and you have sort of the repertoire in your head. It's there's nothing like it. So I can't recommend them enough. I mean, we can try and build you a little roadmap through the discography if you want. Maybe. There's sort of like 3 albums you could sort of just jump back and forth between until it makes sense.
And start from there.
Yeah, it's none of the new stuff. You have to listen to the old stuff is the best way to do it. But yeah, so they have a split with Crooked Necks, and the Crooked Necks side of it. The reason this is on here, it's actually not for the Circle of Ouroboros side. I love it, and that band is single-handedly one of the most influential things and one of my favorite bands ever. But the Crooked Necks side is the direct inspiration for Gorsedd FM. It was what started the band.
Okay.
Me and the other guy we're listening to that sort of nonstop, and we were like, we need to just do a project in response to what we're hearing. So that was the single most influential thing for Gorsedd. And the last is Akitsa Soleil Noir, which is an EP technically, but it's been re-released so many times with so many bonus tracks that I consider it an album. Mm-hmm. It is mid-career Akitsa, which totally gets overlooked. I think people either care about the first records or the recent ones, but this is smack dab in the middle. Really industrial, 15-minute tracks of just noise, and then the other songs are the direct inspiration basically for Hakapelita and for so much of my other stuff, I think, too.
Okay. The fact that Akitsa has a middle career part is already mind-blowing, actually.
Yeah, it's an achievement in itself.
Yep.
So yeah, it's mid-career, it's mid-paced. Everything is just, the same program drum beat the whole time, and it has some clean vocal stuff, has some typical black metal stuff that he does, has some pure industrial shit. It's definitely my favorite album of his, and it's incredibly intense listen. I would recommend it. But it's super influential for Hakapelita. It's sort of what started that band. Same thing, sort of in response to what I was listening to and hearing in that album. Yeah. And it continues to be a massive inspiration for me.
Okay. Well, nice list. I'll try to find some nice nuggets to put in the playlist. One of the things I had written down is since you moved to Philly, and we talked about it the last time, is the focus was going to be on playing live, which Thx was the perfect band to debut the live stuff. You were going to play the Summoning the Elder Spirits in New York, I think, which was partly done by PABM, and then the House of First Light crew, I guess, put up that scene. House of First Light is mainly New York based, so I guess you have some dealings with them in the past. There has been a lot of praise for Lamb, but no one is actually talking about him. Did you know the guy?
Not beyond. I'm not gonna pretend like I was his close friend or
No, no.
anything. I mean, I saw him at shows and we would talk then, and we talked on Instagram.
Okay.
We were acquaintances and had some very good conversations, but we were not like. I didn't have his phone number. You know
No
what I mean?
besties.
Yeah, yeah.
No, okay. Yeah, I was wondering because of the entire New York connection.
No, but I mean, he was an extremely important person in
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
New York black metal scene in general, and I can't overestimate how much of a loss that was to to the city in general. Like he sort of shit just kind of froze after he was gone, and um, obviously you saw that it was reverberated all over. Like there's people, it was insane just the amount of outpouring of grief that happened after that.
Yeah, the outpouring of grief and the same as with. It's hard to compare it with you, but the droplet that guy was in the ocean, and then the ripple effect that even went as far as the Hounds of New York. That I didn't have a clue what bands he all was in, but
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, so the New York Hounds is yeah, I mean obviously he was in that, but the the singer who is he's also one of the main House of First Light dudes, even
yeah.
though he's not like in the bands. He's sort of the like godfather of the whole thing. Or I don't know, their relationship is not one that would be categorized in a hierarchical way. So godfather implies top of the food chain, which is not what I meant.
Yeah.
I just meant that he's sort of the he's a sort of elder like spirit, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
of that crew, and he was sort of the one who uh he has a lot of Philly connections, so that was sort of how he got close with PABM, and how that show ended up
Okay.
coming together, and hopefully we'll still come together. I mean,
Yeah.
that we're just waiting to announce the new date, so it's gonna happen.
He's Lord Abravel or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that guy. He has Lucy as his new band right now.
Lucy is his new band. Yeah,
I'm excited to hear stuff by.
yeah. It's like sort of like glam, rocky pub rock type stuff.
I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, there's a lot of talented people playing in it.
Yeah. I think I have two more. The Purun Stajemi Yak Oise or something like that. The extremely colorful cover you sent me. It's a Polish German record with a lot of folk and flute.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. What about it?
Yeah, what about it?
No, I think visually that's one of the best album covers of all time.
Okay,
And
so it was a cover.
yeah, it's mainly the cover. And the music is take it or leave it. But there's a lot of stuff that's similar to that I think is a lot better executed and is like amazing music. Like one of my favorite recent bands, or not recent, they're old, but that I recently discovered and have been spending a shitload of time with. It's called Venede. It's the guy. His name's like Vened. He's in a million bands.
Okay.
He's a Polish guy. He This was like his first band, I think, started in like the
Okay.
mid to late 90s. Venedae, it's spelled. But their music is like a really good version of that album I sent you. So I would recommend everybody listen to Venedae. If you
It was once again because the narrative between us was Blazebird Hall, and then that
Yeah.
came up, and then I
Yeah.
was like, once again, I was thrown off kilter. By
Well, to me, that's all connected in a sense, at least
Yeah.
in time and part of the world. Also, I feel like some of the Blazebird Hall dudes had projects that were just purely sort of like
folk.
no drum having ass music. You know what I mean? Just guitars, and sometimes it was some of the Blazebird Hall shit is so low gain and
Yeah.
low distortion that it just sounds like it's an acoustic or an unplugged electric guitar, which is my favorite sound, and that's how I write all my riffs unplugged, like Fenris.
I think that is a keystone in a lot of your things. That dichotomy between unplugged, if you will, those things. But yeah, it was just one of I recognized. I looked at some stuff and I saw the cover today, and then listened to the record today. So it's kind of a side note, but yeah.
Yeah, the record, I mean, it is not great, but the album cover is amazing.
Yeah.
Also, that painting that I have is great.
I still enjoy the record today at work.
No, it's good. It's
The sun
good.
was coming in, and there was a lot of flute. Let's
Yeah,
keep
there's a lot.
the very, very, very last thing, and I've kept you for way too long, maybe, but we do in these new edits or the new White Filth, we always do the White Filth tip or whatever you want to call it. Is there a
Tip of the week.
tip of the week? Is there a release you want to point out that is still available? So not sold out like in our world. So many things happen.
Oh wow.
What's the record you want right now? If you were going to buy one tomorrow.
Oh wow, that's a great question. Okay, I'll try and give you a full length and an album and a tape.
Couldn't
So
strap in for
tape-
another half hour, people.
yeah. No. There's a Mesmerism is the name of the band.
Yeah, that's an incredible tape.
Tape is so fucking good. It's just so good. I don't know. I have nothing to say about it.
I got it in last Friday, I think.
Yeah, there's definitely still copies of it. It's so good. The fucking vocals are amazing. The clean vocals are some of my favorite things I've heard in metal recently.
Take a note. Next time we'll talk about Viral Heart.
Yeah, we have to. He's one of the single best.
He's up there
people.
with Boul God.
He's a good friend. He's
Okay.
another US dude doing shit of his own style, and I have immense respect for him. He's a great guy. Okay. Ooh, full length. What's still available that you can just buy? That's really good.
What's in your carts at whatever distro you're buying from?
Oh,
It's
probably
a CD.
It is a CD. The Griselda album.
Oh yeah, the new one.
Yeah, the new Griselda album is so good. It's of a style of black metal that gets no love anymore, that I think it's a sort of like bellwether for like, if you're a real one, you'll like this kind of music.
Mhm.
It namely bands like Marble Bog and stuff, sort of like Eastern European music from the early 2000s that never really made it
Yeah, that
big
never
on the
got to
scene.
surface. Yeah.
Yeah, but production wise, so cold, so ruthless. The melodies are amazing. The riffs so creative. It's just like pure black metal genius. I feel like it's really good.
It's high on my radar, but it's just it's only on CD. It's like the new Warlock, only on CD for now, and it's
yeah. I mean, it makes sense because they just want to get it out, and like it
Sure.
builds hype for when the vinyl's ready, I guess. But
which is weird in its own
I'm
way.
happy with my CD. Yeah.
I'm going to. This could become a digital channel really soon.
Yeah, I mean, we're all gonna get there eventually.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So yeah, those are my recommendations.
Nice. All right, that's a very good one to end on.
I think so.
Alex, as always, my absolute pleasure.
It's been great, man. Anytime. I'm sure 2 years from now we'll have a lot more to talk about. So
Yeah, well, our private conversations will keep going on, but
that's right.
we need some time to recover from this one, I think.
Definitely. Yeah. I need to go fucking take a nap.
Hey, man. Yeah. Success to everything you're doing, career-wise, music-wise, and
Thank you.
I am 100% sure you will succeed. And
Appreciate it.
Congrats on you know what.
Thank you. And congrats on the 2.0 of the channel.
Once again, it's all him. We are in this crib right now. This is a 70s bungalow that is.
I was gonna say, yeah, with the cactus, that's not your typical dungeon vibe, but I like it. They don't need much light or water, so it works out.
I have a cactus, a Swans record, Dr. Dre. I
Yeah.
have a Gooberumsek.
It's a vibe.
And we didn't even talk about this record.
Oh well.
Oh well, next time.
Yeah.
Alex, thank you very much. Have a great
All right,
evening,
man.
and we'll
You
talk
too.
soon.
Talk to you later. Peace.